Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make firewalls using a tool called iptables. Now, as I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, a firewall is just a way that you can filter traffic. So it's pretty much saying what traffic do you want to allow and what traffic do you want to block. You can set this up for your own computer or for an entire network. So say that, I don't know, maybe your kids are going to this weird website. Well, you can set up a firewall to block like anyone from accessing that website. Or maybe if this weird person keeps emailing you, you can set up a firewall to block them from emailing you. So what kind of traffic do you want to accept and what kind of traffic do you want to block? So let's just go ahead and look at the IP tables on my own computer. And if you write iptables-L, then it's going to show you all your IP tables, and right now I have none. This is just the default. I don't have any rules set up. So again, like I said, you can either set this up on a personal computer if you just want to filter, or whenever you're setting up for an entire network like a university or your business, you usually set this on the router, and since all your data is passing through the router, it's going to filter it right there. So these lists of rules are actually called chains, and you have three different ways that data can be sent. Whenever you're just getting data from like the internet or whatever on your own computer, that's called input, whenever data is coming into your computer. Now, whenever you're sending data out, of course, that's called output. So say, hey, I want to connect to this website, going to send out a request. That would be an example of output. Now, forwarding, this is kind of weird. This doesn't apply to personal computers a lot. This is more for routers. So a router, it doesn't really send data out or, get any data in itself. It's really just meant for forwarding or passing through other people's data. So you're going to see this rule a lot on routers whenever, it's just connecting two devices and the data is passing through it. It just forwards it from one device to another. Now, another thing you're going to notice is these policies right here, and these are your default policies. So let's say that we're going to make a bunch of rules for the input, what data we have coming into our computer, and if none of those rules match, then we're just going to follow this policy by default. So this, like I said, is pretty much the default rule, and right now it's just set up to accept everything. So since this is for my own computer and I really don't need forward, then I'm just going to change this from accept to drop. So anytime you want to change a default policy, write iptables and then write -p, which is your default policy flag, and I'll just write forward drop. So my default policy for forward, I'm changing to drop since, my computer is not set up as a router right now. And now if I run iptables again, you can see that it changed to drop. Now let me clear that out. So let's look at some actually like useful examples. So say that I just broke up with my girlfriend because I found out she was addicted to heroin and she keeps annoying me. She keeps like sending me messages, emails, trying to add me on, whatever thing we're connected on, whatever. So I want to block her IP address since, well, she's crazy. So what I want to do is I want to add a rule to the input chain. Because remember, whenever she sends me something, that's input coming into my computer. So if I write iptables, I can write -A, and this means add or append a rule. So what I want to do is I want to apply it to the input chain, and now the source would just be the IP address of her device, whatever it was. So let's just say 192.168.0.23. So I want to filter that out, and what do I want to do whenever I get data from that source? Well, I just want to drop it. So I'm going to hit enter, and now if I look at my iptables again, it says what we're going to do now is whenever we get input, if it's coming from this source, then we're just going to drop it. So now she pretty much can't connect to my computer anymore. All of her information is blocked or dropped. So the thing is, she's not giving up yet. She's still pretty stinking crazy. So what she did is she told all of her friends to send me a bunch of emails since she can't anymore. So now I'm getting a bunch of these crappy emails from all of her crazy friends. So I decided just to block all email. So I'm going to add another rule, iptables, add another rule, got to do it. And of course that's input whenever people send me emails that's coming in my computer. Now for the source, what I can do is I can just write 192.168.0.0/24. So you guys know that from my networking tutorials, this is CIDR notation, and it's going to block all of the devices on this network, but it's not going to block all traffic, because what we're going to do is we're going to write -p and TCP. So -p is the protocol, and you can give it an optional parameter of a protocol, which is in this case TCP. There are a bunch of optional things that you can do, but I'll show you guys a few right now. So right here I'm going to write destination port 25, since that's the typical port for SMTP or email, one of the most popular email protocols. And I'll just write DORP. Great, now I messed it up. Drop right there. So I'm going to hit enter, and what this does is it says, okay, now whenever you have traffic from anyone on this network and it's going on port 25, which is SMTP, then you're just going to drop it. So let's look at iptables again and check it out. So this is me blocking her device, so I can't get any input from her, and now I can't get any TCP traffic from anyone on my network. So I blocked her, I blocked all of her friends, it's golden. But, crap, I forgot about something. Now my new girlfriend, my cool one, that's not crazy, she called me up and she's like, hey Bucky, I'm trying to email you some sexy pics and I can't because I'm blocked. And I go, oh, forgot about that. So I'm going to allow my girlfriend, my new one. So, okay, let me change this. Actually, let me clear this out. Less clutter. So iptables, I'm going to add a new rule. I'm going to add input, and my cool girlfriend's, her IP is, I wrote is, embarrassing. The source is 192.168.0.66, whatever. So the rule for this is I actually want to accept any data from this IP. So I want to drop all those crazy people, but I want to actually accept it from my new girlfriend. So now let's look at our rules, and okay, these guys are still blocked, but I am now accepting packets from my girlfriend that's normal. But I applied this rule, and she's calling me again, and she's like, Bucky, I still can't send you any email. So I'm like, what the heck? I added a rule. What's going on? So what happens, and the problem with this is whenever your firewall is up and running, it's going to go through and look at the rules from top to bottom. Now look at this. She's on the same network as I am, so she's going to go through these rules and say, okay, does this apply to me? Well, no, this is only for this computer right here. Does this apply to me? Well, yes, because even though we accepted her down here, it hit this rule first. And this rule says anyone on this entire network, so, 168.0.1, 168.0.10, all of those addresses, I'm going to drop. So it never even got to this rule since it hit this one first. And whenever it finds one that it hits, then it follows it and it stops looking. So now what we need to do is we need to say, okay, we actually want to move this to the top, because if she tries to send me an email, then I want it to look at this first. And if it sees that it's her address, then it's just going to accept it by default, not look at anything else. So in order to do this, it's actually really easy. I'm just going to delete this third one first. So I just write iptables. And if you write -D, this just means delete rule. What rule do you want to delete? Well, I want to delete a rule from my input chain. This first one right here. And what rule do you want to delete? 3. So this is 1, 2, and 3. So now I'm going to hit enter, and let's look at that again. So now we're back to basics, and now what I can do is this. So this is the rule wherever I accepted her, and if I just run this again, it's going to put her in the 3rd position. And remember, we talked about why that didn't work. So instead of -A, what we can do is you can write -I. Now, minus A and minus I, they both are going to add this rule to the chain. The only difference is minus A, it adds it to the end. Minus I, as we're going to see, it adds it to the top of the chain. So again, since we wrote minus I, instead of putting it at the bottom, it's now at the top of the chain right there. So now whenever she sends me an email, it's going to say, okay, let me look at who is allowed to contact Bucky. Oh, yep, any data from 168.066, you're allowed, you can get that email. And again, still, my crazy ex-girlfriend and all of her friends are still blocked. So I'm happy, I can talk to my new girlfriend. I actually got a restraining order on my old one, and boom, roasted, there you go. So that's the basics of IP tables. There's some more to cover, and most of it regards to, this is just for a personal computer, one computer, but when you're managing a network, then it's different because you actually want to work with this forward chain a little bit more, and we'll talk about that in the future. But for now, that's all you guys get. Thank you for watching. I will smell you next time.